What up, ladies and gentlemen? We got a hot episode of the MMA Podcast to bring you. Just about an hour ago, I was in a Twitter war with John Jones. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a bunch. We had the Tough China finale this past weekend. We'll be talking about John Hathaway versus Dong Young Kim. Dong Young Kim with an amazing counter spinning back elbow that knocked out John Hathaway, giving him the win in the main event. We also have an event in London this coming Saturday. Jimmy Manuwa taking on Alex Gustafsson. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the week in MMA news. We got Ronda Rousey taking on a brand new opponent, Gina Carano, Chris Cyborg, a bunch of other stuff to talk about. Let's do this shit.
You're listening to the MMA Podcast!
Hell yeah, Lenny Hart. Welcome to the MMA Podcast. We appreciate the shit out of you tuning in. If you are tuning in live, it is Wednesday night. This is the 80th edition of the MMA Podcast. I should ring a bell or some shit. It's a milestone, 80th edition. Who the fuck cares? We'll do it big when we hit 100. Until then, it's all business. We really appreciate you tuning in. It's March 5th. And like I said, if you are listening live, you can call in. The phone number is 213-457-3380. You can Skype us at the MMA Podcast, all one word. Tweet us at the MMA Podcast, all one word. Visit the MMApodcast.com. We got the monopoly on the MMA Podcast. If you want to email us for some fucking reason, it's the MMApodcast@gmail.com. And we love people calling in, joining the conversation as we talk MMA. Tonight, I'm joined by two fellas who know MMA and know how to talk some shit. First and foremost, Davey Boy, what the hell is going on? It's like noon over in Guam, but he doesn't give a damn. He's still doing the MMA Podcast, whether he's in the future or not. What's going on? Where can we find you on Twitter? You got any shout-outs for us?
Yeah, hey, what's happening in there, MMA world? You are on the MMA Podcast with all of us. Thank you again for having me on the show. Yes, I do like to give some big shout-outs. Shout-out goes to Gonzo MMA. Please follow him, and thanks for the follow back. One Shred, Moses. I believe he comes from Oregon, too. Big shout-out to Moses. Legions MMA, thank you very much for the follow back. Also, two special follow backs I want to give a big shout-out to. The Danko, Dan Cano, I believe that's his name, but he has some awesome interviews. Please follow him and go on his YouTube channel as well. And also, MMA Roasted. Adam, thank you very much for the follow back. You are one of the funniest motherfuckers that comes up with one-liners like no other. Every time you come up with a one-liner, I retweet the shit out of it. So thank you again for the follow back.
Yeah, have you actually listened back? We had MMA Roasted on the show maybe like a year ago. It was a really fun interview. Talked about his stand-up career. Talked about him liking MMA. Super funny dude. I actually recently saw the MTV True Life episode with him like 15 years ago as like, you know, a 20-something stand-up, up and coming, super inspirational. Follow MMA Roasted. And we don't have the full archive on the iTunes because they only allow us a certain allotment. So we do have quite a bit. We usually have like the last 6 to 7 months of content on our iTunes, but we got the full archive on YouTube. So search us on YouTube, the MMA Podcast, subscribe, and you actually can look up the episode we did with Adam Hunter at MMA Roasted. Super fun. Actually, also follow Yao the Truth, YAO_the Truth. We've got him on most episodes, but it's just super late tonight, and he wasn't able to join us. Of course, Ross Finkelstein, E before the L. Our boy Alan Hamilton, Westland Eagle, AH. Chris Lowenstein, C. Lowenstein, Technics88, Mystery Meds, our boy Joseph Fibonacci, John Bon Joey, JONBON_Joey, follow him. And of course, we've got him on the line. You might know him as the word on the street. Ramses, how the hell are you, buddy?
What's up, Jake from the MMA Podcast? Thanks for having me again on your show. What's happening, people? I just want to say something stinks in the UFC, and its name is John Jones. Fucking trying to clown my homie Jake. Guess what? You want to see somebody go off on his ass? It's going to be me on Twitter, the Aunt Jimmy Show. I got the word on the street about John Jones. I'll reveal the whole dark truth, and it's disgusting. He's a disgrace. Word on the street.
And that's where it all stems from tonight. That's going to be the first topic we cover tonight. We will eventually get to Tough China. We usually break down the whole card first. But it's hard to avoid this. You know, we can't bury the lead. And the lead story is like an hour ago, John Jones tried to clown me so hard on Twitter. And luckily, you know, I've got to thank everyone following me. Like I fucking, like after all of it happened, probably between, I want to say 15 and 20 people replied. I think one of them was a John Jones dick writer saying like, "Oh, John, you're so funny, LMAO," and the crying emoji. Every single other response was, "Dude, you're a fucking dick. Hey, fuck you, John. Like, you are a classless piece of shit." And I hate to mention all this in all of these tweets because I'm trying to stay somewhat positive. And I want to say, John, if you're listening, I don't hate you, man. You're young, you're confused, and you're one of these people that ever since you were a teenager, everyone around you has been a yes man. No one around you says no. And you know what? Maybe that's for a reason. You're the pound for pound king. You are an absolute beast at mixed martial arts. You kill everyone. Your one loss, you only lost because you beat the motherfucker up too bad. 12-6 elbows is bullshit. You should be undefeated. John Jones, I don't hate you. And you know, I was mentioning to Ramses and Ross and Davey Boy before we went live the real irony of the entire, you know, crazy fucking back and forth between me and John. I've been the only person on Team Darkside who's defended John Jones. Going into Jones Gustafson, I was saying, yeah, I'm really trying to root for John. Everyone roots against him, but you know, I mean, he's our, you know, he's the best fighter from the USA. There's two pound for pound kings, a Brazilian and an American. I loved the shit out of John Jones up until he won the championship and he started getting cocky. You listen back to our November interview with Aljamain Sterling. I asked him directly, what happened when John Jones won the championship? What happened with his public image? Why did people start hating him? And Aljamain, who knows John very well, he's a former training partner with John from back in their JUCO wrestling days, way back in the day. Both of them came up with Team Bomb Squad. And I asked him directly because, you know, they used to be very close and now they're not at all. And honestly, I was not looking for a negative response from Aljamain. Going into the interview, I thought that they were still friends. And I asked Aljamain straight up, I, you know, said, what has happened with John's public image that has made him go from somebody who everyone liked to sort of a heel and no one, you know, really likes him anymore? And Aljamain Sterling, you know, I'm not going to quote him word for word, but basically what he said was John Jones is fake. John Jones does not do what he says he's going to do. John Jones is not the person he purports himself to be. And that all brings us to today. The big news of today was John Jones and Tyson Griffin. Well, first, before I get into today's shit, because I've been talking so fucking long, I think I'm on like a 3 or 4 minute rant, just to break up the monotony, because I hate hearing my own voice, and I can't imagine what it's like as a listener having to hear my autistic, like, lesbian voice speaking over the airwaves. I'll pass it off to Dave and then Ramses. Before we get into today's episode, don't mention that at all. But what do you think? Why has John Jones gone from, you know, like when he was fighting Ryan Bader, everyone I knew was rooting for John Jones. He's this up and coming beast. He's going to be a monster. But something changed. Something big changed, and he has really gone, like, his, it was just, 3-4 years ago? Everyone loved him. And now, not so much. Davey, what do you think the issue is with John Jones and his public image?
Okay. Ever since John Jones started in the UFC and stuff, there was like a huge hype train, for him. I mean, he fought Jake O'Brien, he beat him, he fought Stephen Bonner and beat him and stuff like that. And it's no disrespect, no disrespect to them or anything like that, but he was going to his fight and he was winning. And, then the UFC machine just came around, started pushing John Jones, for more viewers and stuff like that. So a lot of people got sucked into his ability to, his ability of fighting and stuff like that. He was kind of unorthodox, doing spinning back elbows and stuff like that, But going into that, when he fought Ryan Bader and won, next thing you know, we find out Rashad Evans gets hurt, and then they ask him if he wants to, fight Shogun for the championship. Obviously, who would fucking pass that shit up, I'm not an MMA fighter, but I would go in there for a fucking UFC championship to myself, okay? So, but in lieu of that, though, ever since then, Johnny Bones Jones, you have been a walking motherfucking contradiction. Okay, you've been walking around, walking the same walk like every other fighter does, trying to come up the same way you have to get the thing that's around your waist, the fucking belt. Okay, let's go back to, I don't know, the UFC that got canceled and stuff, okay? Dan Harrison gets injured, okay? They're trying to find a replacement for someone to fight you the same way that you got the fucking championship, okay? Look who steps up, Chael Sonnen. He said, I'll fucking do it. Next thing you know, what do? No, I'm not fighting them. And they cancel the event. Thank you, John Jones, for that one again. I'm pretty sure you heard that a lot in the past, stuff like that. I'm bringing it up again. Fucking thank you. Okay, contradiction number one. Number two right here, Daniel Cormier just coming out of his way, respectfully asking you to say, hey, you know what, give me this shot at the title. Let me prove myself against you. And what do you say? Oh, I appreciate you coming out and respectfully, coming out this way and stuff. And also, like, you making the sacrifices, by, like, skipping meals, like, very, very nonchalantly, skipping meals to make 205 and shit. And then you're saying, like, unfortunately, I don't see myself fighting because, like, all you've been fighting is literally cans. John, when you came up in the UFC, and this is no disrespect to Stephen Bonner, Jake O'Brien, Ryan Bader, you fought fucking cans too, you fucking moron. You came up the same way that Daniel Cormier is coming up too, okay? So that's contradiction number two. What the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, you have this diva complex now. Okay, you must have been that guy in high school, the athletic high school athlete that just walks around and just fucking pushes people around. And guess what? You were that popular where everybody else was like, haha, John Jones, like, that's so awesome what you're doing to that small little kid. You are that guy. You are that much of a guy to where, like, you think that everything you do is so righteous and shit. But guess what, motherfucker? You're not. You are a great champion. You are a pound for pound fighter, but as a person, you are a fucking dick, hands down. Period.
Oh yeah, man. God bless you, Davey
yeah.
boy. I mean, took the words right out of my mouth, but I'll break it down real quick. The question was, what happened to John Jones's public image? I don't even have to really. This ain't too deep. It's real simple. He's a dick. All right, and you can't hide that. You can't keep that a secret for very long. I mean, look, how many times have you heard someone meet Chael Sonnen and say he was a nice guy? It's probably true. That's why. How many people met John Jones and said he's a dick? All right, he's a fucking. He doesn't sign replica belts for little kids. You guys know that? He tells them to get lost. He doesn't sign belts for little kids because he thinks it would cheapen his own belt. Him wearing it is cheapening the belt, man. He's got to go. Someone's got to put this guy down in the octagon. Get him out of there. Put him out, put him out, put him out. That's the word on the street.
Word on the street, and that brings us to today. John Jones and I guess, not really getting along. I'm pulling up the image right now. All right,
how did it all started, actually?
It all started off earlier today. It started off between John Jones and Tyson Griffin. Tyson Griffin, who is friends with Daniel Cormier, like Davey, you actually mentioned, Daniel Cormier respectfully said he wanted a title shot, and John Jones turned it down. Which, before we talk about any of this, does John Jones have any right to say that Daniel Cormier doesn't deserve a shot against him after beating Bigfoot Silva, after beating Josh Barnett, Frank Mir, Roy Nelson? Obviously I'm not going to bring up, Deion Staring, Patrick Cummins, whatever, but he's beaten 4 legit heavyweights. Does John Jones have any right to say that Daniel Cormier doesn't deserve a shot, Ramses?
Sorry about that. Honestly, I have to kind of agree with John here. Just because I haven't seen anything yet from DC. I mean, come on. We haven't seen anything from him at 205. That fight, like I said, with Patrick Cummins was a joke. It was a work. So yeah, man, I don't think I have to agree with John, at least on this. Cormier doesn't deserve a title shot yet against him. I'm sorry. Not with what I've seen in the UFC. The dude's boring. I don't believe in him. And, yeah, they need to hype up their beef a little bit more or something. I don't think he could beat John anyway, though. I haven't seen anything from Cormier that indicates that he could. But, so, yeah, I got to keep that real. That's what
Word.
I think.
We actually got a new addition, somebody calling in to the MMA podcast. We heard his return last night on the Word on the Street, and he is continuing that shit tonight. Ninja Larson, first and foremost, what the hell's going on, buddy?
What's up, dude? What's up, guys?
Not too much,
Ninja?
man.
Hey, how's it going?
Living this life day by day. You missed the original topic, and the second topic really wasn't too much different. So I'll throw them both at you at the same time. We're not getting into today's events quite yet. First and foremost, though, we're talking about John Jones and how his public image shifted so drastically. Before he was the champion, he was a huge fan favorite. Now he's, a huge heel. No one really likes him. And on top of that, he's saying that Cormier doesn't deserve a fight with him. Does Cormier deserve a fight? Does he not? And why do you think John's public image has suffered so much the last few years?
I think Cormier is actually probably the biggest test for John Jones in that title right now. Cormier is a really good fighter. I think he's going to be a real force to reckon with. He's got just great all-around skills. I think John Jones, I don't know. He at first the whole image of I'm this good guy. I've got thick skin. Nobody can touch me. I worked for him, but you look at things like the WWE, and you kind of have to go with what the people give you. And if the people aren't supporting you like that, aren't really falling for that, like I don't think anybody really is, then you have to kind of switch it up to stay relevant. And I think John Jones, whether he's the best in that division or not, it's your opinion. But whether or not, he needs that recognition. He needs something buzzworthy about him, so people keep talking about him and mentioning his name. And if he does not have either that fan base that loves him or the fan base that hates him, then nobody's gonna give a crap and want to see John Jones fight.
It's actually a really a really interesting point you bring up because we talk about both of the pound for pound kings in Jose Aldo and John Jones. Cormier offers something that we haven't seen in a while, which is a real legitimate, threat. I mean, Aldo, he just beat Lamas, who I think Aldo was like a minus 500 favorite against. And what's next for him? People are talking about either a rematch against Cub Swanson or Chad Mendez. He knocked both of them out in the first round the last time they fought. Jones has Glover coming up. Obviously, a rematch against Gustafsson would be a very interesting threat. But Daniel Cormier, we can rewind the archives to the New Year's Eve 2012 edition of The Word on the Street, and Ramses asked everyone, what fight do you most want to see? The two popular answers were obviously Anderson Silva versus John Jones or Anderson Silva versus George St. Pierre. I said John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. I've been licking my lips for this fight. I may have to wait more than two years for it. This is New Year's Eve 2012. We might not see this fight until early 2015. What it's looking like as far as the light heavyweight picture, we're probably going to see Jones versus Glover. Obviously, Jones will probably win. Gustafsson, my prediction might vary from the probability, but Gustafsson will probably win. We'll probably see a rematch between Jones and Gustafsson in late 2014, probably September, October. We'll probably see Cormier take on the winner of Anthony Rumble Johnson and Phil Davis, likely Davis. And the winner of Davis versus Cormier will fight the winner of Jones versus Gustafsson in early 2015. That's barring injuries. That's barring upsets. That's the probable route. We might need to wait until early 2015 before we see Jones Cormier, but I've waited a long time. It is going to be worth it. Davey, I'll pass it to you last, but certainly not least, Daniel Cormier. Is he a legit tender for the belt, or does John Jones have a point saying that he isn't anywhere close to him?
Well, first off, like I said, I think it was like last week or the week before. I think Jones is hoping actually that Glover would get injured, and I think the UFC would ask Cormier to step in, and obviously Cormier is going to take the shot, But I think Jones is hoping for that. And like I said before, when he fought Pat Cummins, he kind of made him look silly. He did. Okay, could there have been emotions arising from what was said between PC to DC? Yeah, that could have been, or it could have been wool tickets, whatever you want to call it. But real talk again. Same thing with Ramsey was saying. I think real talk. I think Jones would make Cormier kind of look like a fool because like I said, Jones has leg kicks. He could throw leg kicks. He could throw his legs. He could go for head kicks, leg kicks. So I think in that aspect, what he saw out of that fight, Jones, he's going to expose Cormier for those flaws. But at the same time, though, it doesn't take the fact away that how disrespectful he was to Cormier. That was very disrespectful. He could have reworded a little bit differently. But honestly, if they did fight, I would expect Jones to win. But from this point on, anybody who fights Jones, I'm rooting for that guy now. Fuck John Jones.
And that brings us to what happened today. It all started off 11 hours ago with a tweet from Tyson Griffin. Tyson Griffin, friends with Daniel Cormier, says, if you're a champ at John Jones, you'd whoop at Daniel Cormier and move on. He's a tougher test than your last two fights, so just #embrace the grind. He follows it up. This 26-year-old John Jones thinks the names on Daniel Cormier's record aren't even top level. That's just disrespectful if you ask me. Then he tweets out a picture of Cormier's record, his last wins. He says, two former champs and a man that beat the originally greatest of all time. Kids these days, I tell ya, LOL. And it's wins against Nelson, Mir, Staring, Barnett, Silva, Monson, and Cole. And then, apparently, this is where it gets weird. John Jones, he tweets or he DMs Tyson Griffin. Tyson Griffin says, "So the great champ John Jones DMs me, then unfollows me so he won't have to hear my response. Class act, I tell ya." Here's the DMs. John Jones DMs Tyson Griffin the following: "Thanks for the followers. Whatever happened to you anyways?" Tyson Griffin responds, even though it says the message couldn't send because, Jones isn't following him back.
Wow.
Yeah, so Griffin responds, "Working my way back from nerve damage and neck surgery and tired of hearing fighters talking about who they don't want to fight." John Jones responds to Tyson Griffin by DM, "First of all, I was never following you in the first place. Please don't flatter yourself. If you're looking for work, I could use a water boy." The back and forth DM, or I guess I shouldn't call them back and forth because they only were one way. Jones keeps sending Griffin DMs saying, "In all sincerity, I appreciate the exposure you've given my Twitter page today. Can't wait to reach 1 million followers." The next DM, "LOL, you're like, OMG, John Jones is writing me." Next DM, "Clown, I've got to go. Got a world title fight coming up. You wouldn't know much about that. Save these messages for your grandkids."
Oh, wow.
Tyson Griffin, and then Tim Kennedy tweets at Tyson Griffin and John Jones saying, "As classy as posting it socially on the internet, he's a hard-working class act. Why don't you try it?" And what's kind of funny about the thing, I misread Tim Kennedy's tweet. I sort of read it quick and thought he was tweeting at John Jones because Jones responds to Kennedy, and this is a total he said she said, but Jones responds to a Kennedy saying, "Thanks for having my back. You're a great teammate." I thought he was saying that sarcastically when he was really saying it and meaning it. It doesn't really matter because that's where John Jones and I come in. I tweet at Jones and Kennedy thinking that Kennedy had Griffin's back and Jones was sort of mad that Kennedy, wasn't siding with him. I tweet, "Just because he's your teammate, it doesn't mean he has to have your back when you act disrespectful and immature." Which, reading those DMs between Griffin and Jones, it's not a question whether Jones was being disrespectful and immature. He definitely was. Jones actually tweets back at me. He says, "Hey, I'd love to be a guest on your show." And I know John Jones is a dick, and I know he wasn't being sincere, and I wasn't going to kiss his ass. So I said, at John Jones, we go live in a little over an hour. Number's 213-457-3380 if you're being serious. John Jones tweets back, "Totally wasn't." And I get back to him, "Yeah, I figured you were trying to embarrass me or something. Oh well, I don't hate you, dude. Just disappointed by today's actions. We got a groundswell of people just tweeting at John Jones. You're a fucking dick." Actually, if you're listening and you haven't done it yet, just tweet at John Jones in the MMA podcast. Just say, "John Jones, you're a fucking dick." Reactions. Ninja Larson, you had the most awesome reaction on Twitter, and I was laughing my ass off and clapping and actually reading the tweets out loud to Ramses and Ross because it was so fucking badass. What was your response, Ninja, to John Jones? I mean, this is the pound for pound king. This is the best American fighter in the UFC as the UFC goes mainstream, and he is the opposite of a role model. He crashes his Bentley into into phone poles while he's wasted. He tries to embarrass fans. When it comes down to it, I'm just a fan of mixed martial arts. And what did I give Jones? A light criticism? I said, people don't always have to have your back when you act disrespectful and immature. I wasn't saying, "John Jones, you fucking faggot, fuck you, I hate you." No, I was saying, you're being immature today. You're not being respectful. You're the pound for pound king. And do we really want the pound for pound king of our sport DMing former fighters saying, "Oh, you sure disappeared. Fuck you." He's like, "No, actually, I had neck surgery, and I'm trying to come back." So he's, "Oh yeah, well, you could be my fucking water boy." John Jones is a piece of shit, and like I said before, I don't hate him, but right now he's young, he's confused, he's a piece of shit. Ninja, what was your reaction when you saw Jones? I'm I'm more I'm more what is the word? I'm more offended for fans of mixed martial arts. I'm more offended for the sport that John Jones is trying to clown fans rather I am for myself because I wasn't clowned. People came to my fucking back and I was like, "Okay, well, I mentioned if you're being serious. I guess you weren't." Ninja, what is your take on this shit?
The first thing you have to know about the Ninja is that I don't tolerate disrespect. I consider you like family. You're like a brother to me. So when I saw the way John Jones treated you, that set up a very personal reaction in me. Um, now, the one thing I'm not going to do is come on here and give one of my classic ninja rants, go off, cut a promo, and do all that because I'll tell you why. So my response to John Jones, and I was being as respectful as I possibly could be because we have legitimate business now. So I said to John, I introduced myself again. We had some words before with the Shale fight, and I, was doing the whole Shale game and talking trash and blah blah blah. You know how that goes. And so I got blocked the first time after the Shale fight. He unblocked me. That's fine. So I just reminded him of that. So basically, I presented John Jones with two options, option A and option B. Told John Jones that he needed to pay attention to these options. Option A involves me getting really, really pissed off, going off on him, calling him a bunch of names, going back and forth. He'll probably retweet. He'll probably block me and retweet his followers the stuff that I say about him, thus causing a beef between them and me. Ultimately, I'm going to call John Jones out, call him a pussy, say meet me in some back alley somewhere. Let's dance, Ben Affleck. Ultimately, and if that's what John Jones chooses, that's what John Jones chooses. But I told him I wouldn't recommend option A. So I gave him option B. And again, I'm trying to be as respectful as I possibly can. So option B, and I said, listen closely to this one because this is probably going to be best for you. So I told John Jones that all he needs to do is to apologize to you, Jake. I think he was really disrespectful. I told him that I do not tolerate disrespect, and his actions were in fact disrespectful, and they are unacceptable. I do not accept disrespect to myself or the people that I care about. So we could put all this behind us. You can go on with your life. You could save us the hardship, the back and forth, all the drama, all the energy we put into this big giant Twitter war, just by a simple apology. And then I told him, he's listening right now. John Jones, if you're listening, those are your options, buddy. And I told him not to be cute and put up an option C, which is shut the fuck up, and he blocks me, or not to be a coward and just totally ignore me like a douchebag. I mean, that goes without saying. So what I gave to John Jones is I'm trying to take care of this business that I see that really, really, really pisses me off personally. I'm trying to handle this like a man. So, handling it like a man, I am trying to give John Jones the opportunity to handle it like a man. Whether he chooses to or not, that's his decision. We will find out.
Powerful words by the Ninja Larson. I'll throw it to Davey next. I was more shocked than anything that John Jones was up late at night trying to clown me. I was like, yo, dude, call in if you want, if you're fucking being serious. Oh, no, I'm not being serious. All right, well, you're just proving my point that you're an amateur champion and a bad example to model MMA. I don't want my kids to grow up to be like John Jones. Davey, what is your thoughts on John both trashing me and my boy Tyson Griffin?
Man, dude, that is the most pettiest shit I've ever heard. This is actually the first time I heard Tyson Griffin say something about it. You're actually telling something brand new that I haven't even read about. I didn't even hear. I saw a little bit about the little Twitter war that you had with John Jones. I didn't read it through, and I'm like, wow, dude. I'm reading his responses, and they're so fucking petty and disrespectful. I mean. Honestly, John Jones, there will be a day. There will be a day for you that you will get yours, okay? It's called karma. I don't know when that's going to come or anything like that, but you're going to remember, maybe this moment or the moment when you started acting classless, okay? And when that moment comes, you're going to remember that, damn, dude, I fucked up, I fucked up big time. You are becoming close enough to where you're having that reputation of a Tito Ortiz, thinking that you're bigger than the sport of mixed martial arts. You're going to lose all, it's going to come to a moment where you're going to lose all your endorsements, you're going to lose all your credibility and stuff. And what do you have, okay, besides your family and stuff? What do you have? You're not going to have anything if you keep going down this fucking road, period.
John Jones, watch out. And I'll take it a step further. John Jones, what's going to happen when your wife leaves you? What's going to happen when she takes half of your stuff? What's going to happen when she takes the kids? What's going to happen when you owe a lot more on that house? What's going to happen when the other half that you had left, when your wife left you, the tax man took? What's going to happen when you're in debt? You gotta sell the house. Even after selling the house, you're still bankrupt. What's gonna happen when I'm here in Denver? I'm taking the exit off of I-70 to my loft skyscraper apartment in the sky, and I see John Jones on the side of the road with a sign, former pound for pound king, John Jones. And I'll roll down my window and say, John, I'm still doing the show. I'm making $1 billion every episode. I would love you to come on the show. It's a crazy story. Get in the back seat. And he'll be like, thank you so much. And I'll tell him, I make $1 billion a show. I will give you a share. I'll bring you back. You don't need to be homeless the rest of your life, John. And he'll try the door. And he'll try it, and it's locked. And he'll look at me, and he'll say, are you being serious? And I'll look back at him and say, totally wasn't. And I'm going to drive away, John. I'm going to leave you. And that night, it's going to be -30. It's going to snow. And around 8 or 9 the following morning, the cops are going to find your dead body huddled under the interstate, trying to find warmth in the cold Colorado winter. It's 2030. Global warming's going on. The winters are colder. The summers are hotter. John Jones, you're going to die in Denver, Colorado. And I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the last one. I'm going to be that last lifesaver. And I'm getting very weird and deep with this, Ramses. What the hell's going on with all of today's news?
Look, John Jones, when he fought Chael Sonnen, he left the arena in a wheelchair. That is a fact. It happened. Chael walked out on his own 2 feet, still undefeated. John Jones is gonna. You're onto something here, man. I agree with your prediction. He's gonna find out, just like Rampage did, One day you're just gonna wake up and that money's gonna be gone somehow. All right, John's not a smart guy. I mean, the man can barely read and write. You know, I would feel sorry for him, but I'm done feeling sorry for him, man. I'm done feeling for him at all, dude. I wouldn't say I hate you, John, but it wouldn't take me too long to get there. You deserve it. Sooner or later, what little fans you have left are gonna turn on you. It's gonna be ugly. Jake is right. You'll probably end up broke. No family, diseased, and ultimately homeless, if not
Diseased.
if not dead from some type of drug overdose. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, that's the word on the street. You're about to fucking live there, John, on the fucking goddamn street. How about that?
Word, we are 45 minutes in, and all we've done is talk shit about John Jones. We are going to switch gears in just a minute over to the UFC 173 announcement. Vitor Belfort out of 173. We're going to see Machida versus Weidman. Really quickly, this is going to be rapid fire. Tweet version. Give me your quick take. John Jones, bad champion or worst champion of all time? Davey?
He's not even a champion. He's a fucking chump.
Powerful. Ramses?
I heard that John Jones is a stunt double for Little Richard in gay movies.
It's a confirmed fact. I'm not even going to say allegedly on that one. Ninja Larson, bad champion or worst champion of all time?
Right now, John Jones has the opportunity to be a man. We'll see what he chooses. But as of right now, he's just a mere child, and he's got a lot to learn.
John Jones, for your sake, if you're listening to the MMA podcast, choose option B. You don't want it from the Ninja. I am no opponent. I offer you zero challenge. But I'm just going to say you don't want it from the Ninja. We'll move on. We do have a few more topics to get to. The fight we're most pumped for March 2014. We're going to get to that after this topic, which it's a pretty broad topic. We're going to talk about it for a little while like we did the last one. The Nevada State Athletic Commission banning testosterone replacement therapy. There will be no more therapeutic use exemptions for testosterone. And, of course, Vitor Belfort pulling out of the fight. Before we talk about Vitor, let's just talk about Nevada banning testosterone in a huge move. It's going to go down as one of the biggest moves of the year. I'm a huge fan of it. I am so happy for the long term that they've chosen to do it. Ramses, I know you have a differing opinion. I think that it's good that TRT is going to be taken off of the shelf and that, people will have to fight with their natural testosterone. But what are your thoughts on testosterone and artificial testosterone and Nevada's decision to ban all that?
If advances in medical science can make your body better than it is right now, I don't think that's cheating, all right? This TRT ban, I'm totally against it. Don't squeeze the juice. They're squeezing the juice, man. I can't say enough. This is a bad move. Who gives a shit, man? These guys are fighting in a cage, all right? They're all juicing anyway. Let them do it. Let's have the juice wars, man. Let's see who can get the most juice and become the best fighter of all time at the age of 43 or something. I mean, geez, how long do you think Dan Henderson's going to last without his medicine? All right? He's probably already in the hospital. This is ridiculous. Son and man, don't go, man. Don't do it. Fight this one, man. Do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Do what you have to do. This is bullshit. This is all the media's fault. But now they're realizing, hey, now we don't have anything to fucking whine about. Fuck them. And whoever made this call, I gotta say it was a bad one. Reverse it. Don't squeeze the juice.
Yeah, just from one standpoint, I do disagree with you. But just from the standpoint of entertainment value and the bang for the buck you get for your entertainment dollar, What was the most popular period of Major League Baseball history? It was when Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were taking bucketfuls of steroids every fucking day and jacking out homers like it was fucking nothing. And so, like, the Sosa McGwire era of baseball was the peak of baseball's popularity. And I'm not saying the MMA should that MMA should go for the cheap buck, but I can see your point in that, yeah, steroids, they do offer, a more entertaining sport. The only place I would disagree, it's in two ways. A, both on offense. I don't want a Chris Weidman who's in his 20s going up against a Vitor Belfort in his late 30s, and Belfort has more testosterone than Weidman because he's juicing and Weidman isn't juicing and just going on. Like, that's not fair at all. Conversely, you want to look at fighters after they retire, and you want to look at brain damage. And Ramses, you're always saying the UFC needs to take steps to protect fighters and protect fighters against brain injuries. Banning steroids, ask Luke Rockhold, ask Mike Bisping, ask Dan Henderson. Steroids will fuck your brain up. Banning TRT, which people say testosterone isn't a steroid. No, literally look up the definition of testosterone. It is a steroid hormone. So don't give me any of that. It is steroids, and I'm really happy the step Nevada took. We'll pass it to a resident of Nevada over in Carson City, Ninja Larson. What do you think about your home state deciding to axe TRT?
Originally, I thought it was great. I love the thing. I don't want to see, I believe this is the first step to seeing a bunch of robots fight in a goddamn cage, and I don't want to see that. I want to see men go in there with their talents and their skills and go at it and see who's legitimately the best. That's personally what I want to see. So I think it was a great job by the Nevada State Athletic Commission in banning TRT. I'm happy the UFC went along with it. I think it's a great thing. And for the people out there, I spoke a little bit of this on the Word on the Street last night, as our good buddy Yao the Truth, who's going to be transitioning to MMA, and I have a lot of faith in him. I have a lot of faith that he's a very talented kid, and the sky's the limit for that guy. And I would really hate for him, who's not going to be on TRT, to have to fight somebody on TRT, and that's the end of his dream. That's the end of his hard work. That's just my personal opinion on that. However, today, our champion, our King Chael Sonnen, announced that this might cause him to retire. So that kind of put it in a little bit more perspective for me. Somebody that, Chael Sonnen's not a person that's going to take steroids. He's not going to take something that makes him better as a fighter. Chael Sonnen's a fighter either way. Testosterone or not, he'll fight you in the parking lot. He'll fight you on your front porch. It doesn't matter to Chael Sonnen. However, it's medically prescribed for someone like Chael Sonnen and probably Dan Henderson and some of the other guys. So in that regard, I also kind of see where Ramses is coming from. Is where is it going to stop? I mean, granted, it's a performance enhancing. Nobody can deny that. I mean, come on, the more testosterone. I mean, like Ronda Rousey said it the best. About her pre-fight sexual activity is that women need that testosterone. It's no
Hell
secret
yeah.
that testosterone makes you more aggressive. It makes you more. It's just a natural chemical that we produce. And so originally I was like, if you're, to quote great Tommy Toehold, if your balls can't produce enough testosterone, you shouldn't be fighting in the UFC. However, with Chael Sonnen's possible retirement, I'm kind of looking at this now in a little bit of a different light. I mean, are they going to start banning like aspirin and stuff? I mean, where's going to be the limit? I mean, if they start banning stuff that people legitimately need, Shale's got a doctor that says he needs testosterone. He's going to have testosterone. That's just the plain and simple of it. I mean, now Nevada's going to go against medical, like medical doctors. So originally I was all for it, but sensing a close friend, a teammate, and a family member like Chael Sonnen, somebody that I actually adore, somebody that really needs this, I kind of flip flop. I'm not so 100% gung ho that yay TRT's banned. I look at it now that instead of banning it completely, you should regulate it a lot more.
Yeah.
Just not let people shoot up whenever they want, a la Vitor Belfort. Maybe put some more limitations on it. I mean, I already know it's limited, but you can't tell me that Vitor Belfort's testosterone levels are the same as Chael Sonnen's testosterone levels. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. Look at the two. So I think they should.
And you do make a good point that short term, it's frisky, and Chael's my favorite fighter in the world, and I don't want it to negatively affect him. But as far as the long term goes, I was worried that this was going to be something we were going to be talking about for decades, and I'm just glad that we've dealt with it, and there seems to be a ruling on it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm glad the Nevada. I'm proud. I'm proud of my state for having balls enough to make a step. Unfortunately, like I said, some people need it, and if that takes away fighters like Chael Sonnen, that's going to be a very sad day.
Yeah. Davey, what are your thoughts on the Nevada State Athletic Commission deciding to ban TRT? Still a couple topics I want you to save and not talk about yet. I do want to talk about thoughts on. I do want to talk about save your thoughts on Belfort. Save your thoughts on Weidman. Save your thoughts on Weidman versus Machida.
Okay. All right. Well, first off, want to give two shout outs, actually, two big shout outs to two people on this matter. Big shout out to Front Row Brian, actually. He had some fucking awesome points, and he was quick to ask why, basically. And I actually started following because of that. I'm like, damn, dude, like, you actually made some good points. And then MMA enthusiasts, a big shout out to you two as well on this matter, too. So, but moving along, I mean, there's so many different avenues about this whole TRT subject. I'm just going to fucking throw a dart and just go from there, okay? So the Nevada State Athletic Commission voted unanimously to ban TRE in Nevada. And this is more than likely due to the Outside the Line article about MMA fighters on TRT, which majority of them, they come from the UFC. And that's gotten exemptions for TRT. So a few days later, after this article was posted, the commission made a stand and said no more to TRT. I mean, good job for the Nevada State Athletic Commission. But you know what? Guess what's going to happen though? Those other states that gives those exemptions those fighters can still fight in those states. Like they haven't exempted. Like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, stuff like that, they still can have those exemptions and stuff. So, like for any fighter, in the UFC that doesn't want to fight in Nevada, they could just move along. Like, you know what? I think I just want to fight in California or Pennsylvania or Texas. Like, they can still do that.
I will butt in and say it hasn't happened yet, but what normally happens, what happens with 99% of the rules being passed, Nevada will be the first state to pass it, and every other state will follow suit. I mean, honestly, the Nevada State Athletic Commission really is the hub for fighting, not only because the fights take place there, but because most other states sort of just mirror their rules, whether it's boxing, whether it's changes to the unified rules, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and you brought up boxing too, and I remember reading an article on boxing are saying no, we can still look into giving TRT to these guys. They haven't made a ruling in their commission yet in that regard. So it sounds like it's kind of hypocritical in that sense. But I mean, going back though, right now, it seems like Nevada is the only one that's just exempting these, or they're not going to give any exemptions to these TRT bans. So and that's sorry because Nevada is the fucking fight capital. That is the mecca for mixed martial arts, So it's to me, it's who wants to go see another Vitor to fight exclusively for I don't know, New Jersey State Athletic Commission, fight New Jersey and stuff like that. Get all those TRT exemptions, have all this exposure, but yet when he comes to a title shot, and it's going to be in Vegas, he might not perform as well as as he did before, getting all the stream wins from those other states and stuff. So right now, I'm hearing, I hear you, Jake, but right now it doesn't look like I haven't heard anything on the Twitter wire or anything else that there's other athletic commissions that's going to follow suit. But if they do, awesome for them. But at the same time, I mean, the whole irony of this subject, you know what banning TRT does for those fighters? Nothing. It doesn't do a damn thing because guess what? They could still take TRT before they sign that contract for the fight. And all they got to do is just make sure their levels, their T levels are at a normal level. For any normal guy who doesn't take TRT or anything like that, doesn't take anything that has just normal testosterone, they could get them at those levels right there while still taking TRT, and they could still perform. There's an article actually on Fox Sports, and you know what? I will retweet the link, but Fox Sports 1 actually had a good article on this. They could still take it. If they have too high ratios, then they can determine hey, these are synthetic testosterones that they're taking and stuff, and they could go from there. But right now, if medical doctor says hey, there's a normal range for everybody to have certain testosterone levels, they could follow suit. Those fighters could still take the TRT, and still be at the normal levels that anybody can, have, that testosterone. And the other thing too was, and like I said, big shout out to MMA enthusiasts about this, but everyone on the Twitter wire was saying that the UFC has banned, TRT in their company and stuff. I'm where the fuck is that source? So he shoots me this link, and I'm reading it, and I'm reading the second paragraph. Well, no, actually, the headline says no more TRT in the UFC. They banned it because the Nevada State Athletic Commission, they started it, so they're going to follow suit with them. First off, if you read the whole article, it only talks about if there's not an athletic commission that is licensing these fighters. So, the UFC, if they're overseas right now, they can act as their own athletic commission. So what they're saying is if we go overseas, we're going to ban TRT. They did not ban TRT from their company completely. They did not. Don't believe that hype. Okay? The other thing too is, I mean, if that's the case, if the UFC, Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitas, everybody was so adamant about this fucking TRT subject, and you do something like this, where the fuck were you before TRT became a big issue? If you knew for a fact that it was going to be that big of a deal, why didn't you just ban it from your company? And the only response that I was reading on this regards when they were talking about this whole TRT issue is oh, we can't because we're regulated by the government. You can add on to your company, especially if it's for their safety and their welfare and their careers. I'm pretty sure you being the president or the CEO of a company, you can add on to, like, hey, listen, you can have something in your contract saying, like, hey, listen, if you fight for the UFC, you will not take any TRT. I understand what the regulations state that we're governed by, but when you fight for this company, you are not taking TRT. But at the same time, though, these fighters can get away with it in a sense of where, like, they could still have their ratios at a normal level. So other than that, though, nothing but respect for the UFC in a sense. But at the same time, come on, where the fuck were you, like 5 years ago when this issue came about?
In the UFC's statement, they actually did urge other state athletic commissions to ban TRT. Nevada has commonly, been the first state regulatory body to do certain things. They're usually they're definitely the most influential and forward-thinking athletic commission in the USA. But you do have a good point in that it has still yet to be seen what's going to happen as far as other states jumping aboard. Let's change gears. The next day after Nevada made the decision, Vitor Belfort, the guy who's really become the figurehead for TRT in the sport, he pulls out of the fight with Chris Weidman, saying he can't get his levels down in time. This is the scuttlebutt. This is the word on the street. It's not that he can't get his levels down in time. You only need 5 days to get your levels down. He has 2 months. It's not a matter of getting his levels down. It's a matter of that he failed a test not too long ago. He was not yet a licensed fighter in Nevada, but yeah, that is the word that Vitor and his people are putting out. Oh, it just can't get our levels down. When in reality, he failed a test. And that's the real reason. He'll still probably get a title shot, but we talked about it a whole bunch last night on the Word on the Street. Ramsey, so you want to give us a recap of what we talked about and what your take on the whole Vitor situation was? You were calling him a giant scapegoat. That was the word you were using about him.
Yeah, we were talking about the rape of Vitor Belfort, man. What happened to that man wasn't fair. He was singled out. He was made a target. Sacrifice had to be made for this new policy, and he was the face of TRT, unfortunately. Like I said, man, even our favorite fighter is basically in the same position, except, he hasn't been actually busted for steroids like Vitor was back in the day. But at the same time, since then, Vitor's he reinvented himself. He got a second chance, and now it's all been ripped away. It's the saddest shit I've ever seen, man. Don't squeeze the juice. Don't squeeze the juice is what I'm saying. I sponsor Yao the Truth. He's an up-and-coming MMA fighter. He's doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments and whatnot. I tell him every day. I sponsor him. I'm like, kid, you got to get your ass to the gym and start asking who's got something, man. All right? He's got to... I want Yao to be on the roids, man. He'd be a great fighter. It would improve his game. And you were mentioning how it's not fair that if Chris Weidman was going to fight Vitor Belfort on roids, Chris Weidman should be on steroids too. All right, he should get on it too. Because how badass of a fighter would he be if he was all roided up and shit? That's what I'm talking about, man. Let's let these guys reach their medical potential, their physical potential. Why the hell not? Who cares how they have to get there? We've all taken shortcuts in this life, man. Sometimes that is how you get ahead. And I don't think you should be punished for it. One day it's okay, next day it's banned, and now you ain't got a title shot. He was raped. The rape of Vitor Belfort. I hope you're happy, you MMA media fucking jerk jobs. You're the only thing that's worse than you is John Jones. Word on the street.
Ninja, what is your thought on Belfort? Dave, you might want to mute up. I think we were hearing maybe beeps coming from your end.
Oh, my bad, man. I think my phone's about to die. Hey, I'm going to hit you guys up on Skype.
Sounds good, brother. Hit us up. Ninja, what are your thoughts on Belfort, a guy who Ramses is saying is just a scapegoat in this whole situation?
First of all, everybody is talking about the problems, but I don't hear anybody given any solutions. The Ninja's all about solutions. That's what I do. My solution is don't test Vitor for how much TRT he takes. Just test. I think the State Athletic Commission and the UFC should just test your testosterone levels. Either they're low, they're high, or they're normal. And I think that should just be part of the physical that goes into. So therefore, if somebody like Shale P. Sonnen has low testosterone, therefore, if his levels are now normal, who gives a fuck how they got normal? They're just up to where everybody else should be. I think that's the solution. As far as Vitor goes, though, um, saying that, I can't get back down to normal levels just tells me he was at way, way, way too high of levels. And that kind of proves, that just kind of proves what Nevada's trying to do, trying to stop the abuse of TRT. That's why I think they made the decision they made. Maybe it shouldn't be so drastic. As far as Vitor being the scapegoat, like I said last night on the Word on the Street, I don't think anybody, looked at a piece of paper and said, Vitor, let's go after him. Nevada probably knew, probably had a good idea that Vitor was probably off the charts. That's why they went after him so much. But unfortunately, in the society that we live in, you have to put a face with the problem. I think Vitor was in the wrong place at the wrong time with way too high amounts of testosterone in his blood, or in however testosterone works in his balls or whatever. And I think he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he's going to be looked at for testosterone like Alex Rodriguez is, and
Barry
and
Bonds,
the bike dude,
Lance
Barry
Armstrong.
Bonds, Lance Armstrong. He's going to be looked at like those guys, as kind of the sacrificial lamb, as the face of TRT. Is that fair for Vitor? No, but then again, look at the guy. I mean, you look at old tapes, he's, looks like a normal guy, and then you look at him now, and he's like a freaking bodybuilder. I mean, he looks like he should be in professional wrestling, and so I don't think it's fair for him. But again, he did it to himself.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. He's not the only person to ever do TRT. And you know what? A big part of his leap from being where he was just a few years ago to where he is now, a lot of that probably is a lot of training. You just don't knock dudes out because you're doing steroids. You knock dudes out because you have proper technique. But at the same time, it's not like the guy's not doing steroids. We will change topics over to Vitor pulling out. He's got to have a replacement. We're going to see Chris Weidman take on Lyoto Machida as the main event of UFC 173. Davey hasn't hit me up back on Skype yet, so when he calls back, we'll talk about his take on Vitor and the Machida fight and all that. But Ramses, what do you think about Weidman taking on Lyoto? There were questions. Lyoto tweeted out a picture of him with what looked like just the nastiest, most swollen up foot, getting acupuncture or something. His foot is not looking good. Do you think he'll be able to keep up with the middleweight champ Weidman?
Machida's foot, in my opinion, was broken, smashed to all hell against what was his name? Musazi's face. All right. I don't think this is a quick turnaround for him. It's pretty obvious what they're doing here. They're tossing an injured, recovering fighter who just came off of a damn 5-round war or whatever the hell it was. They're tossing him straight to the wolves here with Weidman. This is a setup fight at this point, people. I'm sorry, he's not gonna. One of his greatest weapons in his arsenal, that left kick, it's gonna be gone. He ain't gonna be throwing it. Trust me. This is gonna be an easy fight for Weidman. He'll probably destroy him in round 1. That's the word.
Round 1 destruction by Chris Weidman. Ninja, I have a feeling you might disagree.
Not a fucking chance in hell. Lyoto Machida, I am so happy about this fight. I like to think of myself as Lyoto Machida's undisputed #1 fan in the entire world. I absolutely love this guy. My fight style is pretty similar. My ninjutsu training, we have kind of the same stance, the same get the fuck out of the way mentality, if you will. I love this fight. Weidman's a tough dude. I'll give him that. Lyoto Machida, though, he's 150% better at getting the fuck out of the way of everything you got than Anderson Silva. So I think that adds a dynamic. I am a little worried, I got to admit, about the turnover time. Lyoto Machida is a martial artist. He's not a fighter per se. He's a martial artist, and as a martial artist, again, we think along the same lines, we train along the same lines, and you need that prepare time. Lyoto Machida needs time to game plan. That's the problem with this fight. That's the only issue I have is he's an artist. He puts so much effort and so much planning into what he's going to do. This short turnaround, like Ramses was talking about, might be his downfall. As far as his hurt foot, that's just one of many, many, many tools that Lyoto Machida possesses. I can see Machida doing what he does best, getting the fuck out of the way. I hope he can stand on that foot more than he can kick with it. I can see Machida, and a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but if I were Lyoto Machida, I'd stay the fuck away from Weidman, pick him apart like we saw him do with Masasi, land punches, land strikes, do enough to win rounds, and then go by decision. I'm really pulling for Machida. I wish I could be there, and Machida's gonna hear me scream all the way up here in Nevada. He's gonna hear me scream for him. So good luck, Machida. I can't wait. New champ, baby.
Hell yeah, I love when Skype distorts your voice, makes you sound like you're having a damn stroke. We heard what you said, though. It just stroked out at the very last. Lyoto Machida, he might have a bum foot, but guess what? He's got another foot. He's got two knees. He's got two elbows. He's got two hands. I'm still going with Weidman, but I think it's going to be a close fight. Dave has yet to hit us back on Skype, so we'll wait to talk about the fights we're pumped for March. We'll go with the 10 solid seconds of sports, where we break down all sports, not MMA, but we keep it to 10 seconds, because I know you MMA fans hate talking about football and basketball and all that shit. Let's do it. My Florida Gators, still number one in college basketball, looking at number one seed in the upcoming March Madness tournament, and if they can survive the SC tournament. The New York Rangers, Tampa Bay Lightning trade their captains to one another as Marty St. Louis and Ryan Callahan switch squads. Spring training begins in baseball. Basketball getting close to playoff time. Alright, let's move on. We had two cards this past Saturday. I'm not going to be breaking down the individual fights, just talk about the entire card, what you thought. We're going to start off with Bellator 110. That was Friday night. The main and co-main event, we had Rampage Jackson taking on Christian Mapumbu, who literally, like Ramses talks about works, and I never think like a fight's like going into it, a fighter's like, alright, I'm going to lose in the first round. But at the same time, there are times where matchmakers make fights where they know the outcome. Christian Mapumbu hadn't won since Bellator 45. This is Bellator 110. Of course, Rampage knocks him out. Of course, King Mo beats Zayats, even though that was a pretty close fight. King Mo and Rampage in the fakest scuffle I've ever seen after the fight. What'd you think of the card? Ninja, were you able to catch Bellator 110?
No, I missed it, but I actually watched the post-fight scrum.
Was that the fakest shit you ever saw?
And having the wrestling, the professional wrestling pedigree, I should clarify. I've been in professional wrestling for 30 years as a fan. I used to train up in Washington with Matt Bourne, also known as Doink the Clown. He was teaching me some stuff, trying to break me into the business. So I know a little bit about professional wrestling. It's no secret that both King Mo and Rampage were under TNA wrestling contracts and still might be. I don't know. But holy crap, you could not have scripted I mean, this isn't even WWE worthy the way this went down. This is like, this is backyard wrestling stuff. The way that, the way that this went down, King Mo appears out of nowhere somehow. Let's bring him into the ring. They start arguing. I don't really ever recall any punches thrown, which brings me to the point that, I mean, these both are professional fighters, and they know how to fight. So if you're in a ring and you're really, really pissed off at somebody, you're going to tell me that you're not going to throw a punch or it's not going to look like a fight. Or B, you're going to tell me that like 5 or 6 little PR guys that like are half the size of you are going to be able to pull you apart. If you really want to get at somebody, John Jones, pay attention. Nobody should be able to pull you apart. And yeah, it was all scripted. I mean, Bellator's got to do what they do. They're trying to compete with the UFC. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you just got to do what you got to do. If you're Bellator, you got to get that viewership any way you can. And good luck, Bellator.
Davey, if you can mute up for us, we'll get to you in 1 second. Ramses, what was your thoughts on Bellator 110?
Yeah, the run-in by King Mo was embarrassing at the end there. But not as embarrassing as the actual Rampage versus Mapumbo fight. What can I say? I've said it before. I'll say it again, people. I'll say it again. The fight was a work.
Wait. Let me get the drop ready. I wasn't ready. All right. Here we go.
The fight was a work, people.
Hell yeah.
Damn right. Smart man there. Yeah, the Rampage Mapumbo fight, probably one of the most horrifying, worst works I've ever seen. The fight was a work, people. It was way too blatant and obvious. Mapumbo fell at Rampage's feet at the end. I don't even know. I mean, Rampage has got to know it's fake, right? Maybe he's convinced himself that every fight is real and that he's really knocking these guys out, like on his own without their help. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe in a year we'll see John Jones and fight Rampage and Bellator. Like I said, money's gonna disappear before he knows it, man.
It's a possibility.
Yep, but yeah, the fight stunk. It was bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, you put it better than me. I don't know if I thought it was a work, but yeah, just a horrible matchmaking. Davey, you're back. Glad you're back. Before we ask you about Bellator 110, let's get your thoughts on Vitor and your thoughts on Weidman versus Machida. Who you got in that one, and what do you think is behind Vitor pulling out of 173?
Okay, Vitor versus Machida. I want to be honest. I'm more worried now about Chris Weidman losing his belt versus Vitor Belfort. Honestly, I think Machida serves more as a threat to Chris Weidman than Vitor Belfort does, actually. Because, like, in my mind, he would have never gotten that exemption, and Weidman would have won, hands down. But now you're fighting a guy who's completely different than Vitor Belfort. So I think Machida has something going on over here. Now, as far as Vitor being the scapegoat and stuff like that, yeah, I can see that way. And again, big shout out to Front Row Brian on this one, because like it seemed kind of funny. He like made his little statement that he couldn't he's gonna like bail out of the title fight. Talking about he needs to get acclimated to not having TRT in his system when it does take 5 days. So like the response we got from Vitor was basically typical Vitor responding to any questions nowadays. So like I didn't know how to take that until I kept thinking about more and more about this whole TRT ban from them. Could he have been the scapegoat? Yeah, he could have, but just because like at the same time it's like he came to Vegas. He went to Vegas to I guess he went to the World's Mixed Martial Arts Awards or whatever, and abruptly he gets pulled by the people from the Nevada State Athletic Commission to pee in a cup out of the blue, and he's like, okay, I'll do it. Something smells funny in that regards. I'm sorry. So, but for Vitor, I mean, either way, like I said before, if the athletic commission, didn't ban TRT, would he got an exemption? No, he wouldn't have. But him being a scapegoat, it could smell that way, in my opinion.
Weidman, Machida, who you got?
Oh, Weidman versus Machida? Oh, my bad.
No. We're just moving through. You gave us your take on Vitor. What's your take on the new UFC 173 main event? Chris Weidman taking on Lyoto Machida.
That's gonna be a good fight. I mean, Machida's style and stuff. He's more of a counter striker and like keeping his distance and stuff. I think that's gonna frustrate him more than Anderson Silva's antics when they fought the first time. So, and Machida, like I said, Machida's a smart fighter. I mean, look what he did against Gegard Mousasi. It was a chess match in that cage and stuff, and Machida won, and that's been the style ever since. And you know what? I mean, like I said before, I think Machida poses more of a threat than Vitor does. So I could say it's looking towards Machida being the third fighter to win 2 belts in different weight classes. Yeah, it could happen that way.
Word up, and to finally get you caught up, we were just talking about Bellator 110, Rampage and King Mo winning, them having a little fake scuffle toward the end there. What did you think of the card and, everything, if you did tune in and watch it?
I tuned in and watched a little bit of it. You know what? Like, the whole Bellator fighting system, that's, from start to finish, that is a work, period, okay? That it smells like work. How they bracket everybody to fight each other and stuff. Like they wait until like those 2 fighters, like the ones that like everybody wants to see to fight in the finals. That's a work hands down. It didn't even like have to come to Rampage and King Mo's scuffle. You smelled it before it even happened. You smelled it happen. Now for a Pumbo to lay down like that and take like a little dap on the cheek and just go limp for a second. That was a work. I don't even think like he landed any like serious shots on Rampage. He just kept walking around, and avoiding Rampage. So that's a work. And actually, it's even funnier too because King Mo actually tweeted part 2 of the post fight conference, and that smelled like a work right there to itself. So good for Bellator trying to promote some things and stuff like that, but. Dude, it smells like some like fake WWE work.
Did I just hear a kid in the background?
Yeah, actually, it's my son right now. I got my son and my daughter over here.
Oh, nice! Shout out to Little Davy, both of the Little Davies.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Yeah, I try not to like talk about that and stuff like that, because this is me on here. But yeah, I got my kids right here and stuff, man.
Definitely. Shout out. Well, let's move on. The other card this past weekend, we had the Tough China finale, the main event. I'll go ahead and skip to it. Yeah, Zach Cummings missed weight. If you want to hear about all that, listen to the word on the street. It's on the YouTube feed, or the iTunes feed, sorry. Or you can search it on the YouTube. Just search word on the street. We had Tough China, Dong Young Kim getting the spinning KO, the counter spinning elbow on John Hathaway. What'd you think of that fight? What'd you think of the whole card? Were you able to stay up for it? I'll pass it to you first, Dave. What was the time there? It aired here in the morning, like the mid-morning. What was it like over there? I guess it was like evening time for you?
No, it was evening time for me. It was around, Probably around like 12 o'clock at night, 11 to midnight, actually. I only saw the prelims, and it's just so messed up that like I don't get the fight pass over here because like if I wanted to like get that card to watch it, I would have to pay like $10, to watch that fight. So like anytime they have a UFC fight pass, like the Gustafsson Manoa fight, I have to pay $10, to subscribe to watch that fight. I don't get the fight pass.
So is
like
Fight Pass
else.
available there now, or what is the deal? I think I read you might be able to watch it on UFC TV, UFC.com maybe if it's not available.
No, I can watch the prelims, but when it comes to like watching the main card and stuff, like I would have to buy it. Like it's $10. So still, but no avail, no fight pass yet over here in Guam.
Damn, Ramses, what did you think of Tough China? What do you think about the fight pass?
Well, I didn't watch Tough China, the actual show, of course. The fight card looked awesome on the Fight Pass, I gotta say. I was up in the morning watching it, having a good time. Coffee, steak and eggs, fried shrimp, a little bit of buffalo wings on the side there with my orange juice. It was good times, good stream on the UFC Fight Pass. Of course, the fights didn't change my life or anything, but seeing Yum Kim just cave in Hathaway's head, that was nuts. That was good. That was worth the price of admission alone. Damn shame about Zach Cummings. He was half the reason I was gonna get up and watch this damn thing so early. But he'll be back. Hopefully, give him another shot. UFC, Zach Cummings. He learned his lesson. And he owned up to it. And yep, the card Hathaway Yum Kim. That was pretty much it. That's all I remember from it. So that goes to show you what kind of card it was.
Ninja, what are your thoughts on the Tough China finale? If you were able to catch it, Kim getting that key knockout.
First of all, I had no frickin' clue there was even a Tough China. So when the Ninja doesn't know about something MMA related, especially a UFC Tough Nations, Tough China, Tough whatever you want to call about it, then I think that's a little bit of a bad marketing for the UFC. Again, I had no freaking clue this was going on. I don't even know who was on the card, to be honest with you. I even follow Kung Lee on Twitter, and I didn't have a clue what's going on. So, somebody made some mistakes there. I don't have the slightest idea of what happened.
Simple enough. Yeah, we saw Dong Young Kim KO the Brit John Hathaway. Both of them had pretty good records going in. Kim's probably going to get a pretty good test next up. Before we get to the fights we're pumped for, one more topic, one of the bigger topics of the week. Earlier in the week, Joe Rogan went on, I think it was the Kevin and Bean show or the Opie and Anthony show, I'm not sure which, but he hinted that coming up soon, we were going to see the UFC make a signing, or we were going to see some crazy news, and Ronda Rousey was going to have a new opponent. Everyone thought they were talking about Chris Cyborg. The scuttlebutt is now it might be Gina Carano main eventing UFC 175, fighting Ronda Rousey in what would be a blockbuster fight, Carano-Rousey. Not only could we see that, but there's a chance that the other two women that fans have been pushing the UFC to assign, Holly Holm and Chris Cyborg, they might bring both of them in. They might fight each other. The UFC might just take the monopoly on women's MMA if they did sign Carano, Holm, and Cyborg. It would be a huge step. It would be amazing. What are your thoughts on it? What do you want to see? What fight do you want to see most? Would you rather see Cyborg versus Rousey most? What all's going on? It's craziness. Ninja, your thoughts on the potential crazy future of the women's bantamweight division in the UFC?
First of all, Chris Cyborg fights as a woman. I was completely unaware of that, but good luck to whatever it is. If it gets a chance in the UFC, good luck. But in all seriousness, I think because of the the hype, the Wolf tickets. That's the fight I would like to see most. Is obviously Chris Cyborg and Ronda Rousey. I'm a huge Ronda Rousey fan. I absolutely love that woman. I'm going to marry that woman. She's beautiful, technique. There is nobody in the world that's going to beat her. Chris Cyborg, just because it's a man. I'm not. I'm not willing to check,
dude. I am a huge Rousey fan too, and I don't like Cyborg, and she definitely draws a lot of criticism to herself because she has taken steroids, and I hope Ronda smashes her. And I don't like Cyborg, and I love Rousey, but at the same time, you can't Cyborg is a woman, and to say oh, you're a dude, it's an it, that's just if I'm gonna sit on my pulpit and criticize a fighter when they say something disrespectful or whatever, I sort of can't be in a glass house throwing stones, and I don't know, I can't get behind just going that hard on Cyborg.
Sorry, I'm a huge Ronda Rousey fan.
It's all good too,
Cyborg
I am as well.
Cyborg talks trash. You got to give her something back. I mean, you got to have fun. You got to be willing to dish it if you're willing to take it.
It's true.
But in all seriousness, I think that'd be a great fight. I think Cyborg has the best chance of beating Ronda Rousey if anybody does. I am really sad though. If that happens, I think Kat Zingano deserves a title shot like she had before she got quote unquote injured. I'm kind of sad that everybody's taking her out of the picture for some reason. I don't know why they're taking her out of the picture, but I was kind of sold on that fight and really interested in that season of The Ultimate Fighter. So, I mean, I wanted to watch that fight. As far as Gina Carano goes, that would be huge. That would be amazing. However, rightfully right now, I mean, I'd be a little disappointed in the UFC if they brought in Cyborg and just immediately gave Cyborg the shot, or brought in Gina Carano and gave her the shot. I think Kat Zingano should have it.
Yeah, and it's yet to be seen what the status is with her injury and all that shit. Dave, what are your thoughts on everything going on with women's MMA?
Gina Carano against Ronda Rousey. I mean, I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, I don't, because that kind of steps over a lot of other people. But Randy Couture did the same thing back in the day, fighting Tim Sylvia coming out of retirement, I guess. So it's a big draw on the UFC's part. I understand the whole business and stuff like that. Gina Carano is a big draw, in women's MMA. So her coming to fight Ronda Rousey, that's kind of pivotal. Cyborg fight in the UFC, I'm for it. I hear a lot of people on Twitter hating on Cyborg because they consider her a cheater because she is a steroid addict. She only tested positive once for steroids, okay? Once, and she admitted her mistakes. Huge difference than Vitor Belfort, who back in 2008 was on steroids and didn't admit anything yet. She admitted her faults, whether she's right or wrong and stuff like that, owned up to it, and she's moving on. But Cyborg fighting in the UFC, I'd rather see Cyborg and Rousey fight than Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey, honestly. So Holly Holm coming up, I don't know. I mean, has she been tested yet? I mean, she's a great fighter. I'm not saying she's fought in cans or anything like that, but the level of competition that Gina Carano, Chris Cyborg, and Ronda Rousey, I mean, they've had some competition versus Holly Holm, so she's gonna be tested. I pay to watch it.
Yeah, and I do agree, and I think even people at the top of the UFC would agree that Cyborg is probably the better challenger, but you got to think of it money-wise. If you give her Carano first, you get the Rousey-Carano fight, and you get the Rousey-Cyborg fight. You get your cake, and you get to eat it, too. if you put Cyborg in first, you don't know if Carano wins her first fight in the UFC. Making the Carano fight first also gives Cyborg a chance to get a UFC win, build up a little bit of hype, get the UFC viewers accustomed to seeing her inside the octagon. That's at least my take on why the UFC would make the Carano fight first. I might not go as far as Ramses goes with a lot of his theories, but I do agree with him when it comes down to it. The UFC is a business, and it's about one thing, making money. Ramses, speaking of your beautiful self, what do you think about this whole situation?
Gina Carano versus Ronda Rousey. I'd pay money to see that fight. I mean, it's a pretty even match. They're both solid eights. Gina Carano's breasts are splendid. Her sweet breasts.
Splendid is an amazing word to use. Just spot on.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to see it, but I don't think Carano stands a damn chance. She's coming out of retirement for this. If the rumors are true, that's kind of ridiculous. It's like when they brought Stephan Bonner out of retirement to fight Anderson Silva. Remember that? Jesus. That was a body shot that knocked him down, dropped him, but you didn't see anybody stop that fight. Anyway, though, Ronda, definitely good fight for her. Easy fight, little setup fight. She deserves it. As far as Cyborg goes, I don't want to see her in the UFC. Nobody wants to really see that. Nobody wants to see her in there. She's just too weird. She is, obviously, she's squeezing the juice. So who knows what that's going to look like now that it's been completely banned. Nothing exciting for Cyborg, man. I'm done, man. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm hyped. But yeah, man. Ronda all the way.
Speaking of being hyped, you know what I'm super hyped about? Earlier in the week, I went over to the Altitude Dispensary, picked up some recreational goods. I got this vape pen, and it is wrecking my life. I'm seeing double now. I hope I can make it through the rest of the show. We are going to transition, though, from that women's MMA topic to the fights we're pumped for March 2014. Let's get to it. We're all going to talk about the fights we're most pumped for guess which month? March 2014. Let's do the damn thing. Ramses, I'll pass it off. I gotta turn this shit down. Ramses, I'll pass it off to you first. What fight are you looking forward to this month?
Song's about as hip as John Jones, by the way. The fight I'm looking forward to.
Not hip at all.
No doubt about it. Friend of mine, friend of everybody's. Honestly, one of the best up and coming welterweights and newest UFC fighters there is. Kelvin Gastelum. He's taking on Rick Story. And shit's going down. Kelvin's ready. He's squeezing or whatever the hell he's talking about in his latest commercials. He's doing commercials, that's right. But he ain't like a certain other individual who lets that get to his head. The fame and the fortune, the cars and clothes, the hoes, man. He's no John Jones. He's the exact opposite. That's why I'm going for Kelvin in this one. He's going to take it home one step closer to a title shot. I'm telling you, it's coming before you know it. The kid's growing up.
KG, I called the upset against Josh Salmon. I called the upset against Uriah Hall. I'm not picking against him for the rest of his damn career. He's getting the welterweight belt. Dave, what is the fight you're most pumped for March 2014?
Whew. What do I want to see? I want to see that Robbie Lawler and Johnny Hendricks fight, and there's a big build up to that one. Johnny Hendricks, should he be the UFC welterweight champion? Absolutely, he should be. But when GSP left, he vacated the title and stuff. Guess who stepped in to fight Johnny Hendricks for that fight? My favorite fighter, the fighter that I grew up watching, like 12 years ago, Robbie Lawler. Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Finally, getting to where he needs to be to fight Johnny Hendricks. And this has dynamite written all over it. The both of them can knock people out. The both of them can wrestle and stuff. So in regards to Johnny Hendricks fighting Robbie Lawler, I think Hendricks will be tested this time around because guess who else can knock people out too? Robbie Lawler. So I'm pumped for that one. I'm going for my man Robbie Lawler on this one, hands down. New UFC welterweight champion, ruthless Robbie Lawler.
We got maybe a future welterweight champ in Kelvin Gastelum. We got maybe a future welterweight champ in Robbie Lawler. Ninja, what fight are you most pumped for this month, March 2014?
God, I'm not going to score any originality points here, but I'm excited for Hendricks and Lawler. That's going to be insanely amazing. Great segue, because I believe that Hendricks is going to come with it, baby. And I'm a huge fan of Johnny Hendricks, the big rig, throwing those meat punches. Everything he throws has bad intentions with it. I think he's going to knock Robbie Lawler out and get the title that he rightfully deserves.
Hell yeah, I was really close to picking that fight as well. I was really close to picking the co-main event, actually, another welterweight bout, Tyron Woodley taking on Carlos Condit. That's going to be amazing. I almost picked this Saturday's main event, Alex Gustafsson taking on Jimmy Manuwa. If Alex wins, it likely earns him a title shot. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going with any of those fights. I'm going with the main event fight come March 23rd, 2014, in Natal, Brazil. Shogun Rua taking on Dan Henderson, a rematch of UFC, I believe it was UFC 139, which a lot of people thought was the fight of the year in 2011, one of the best fights in the UFC. I bought the damn pay-per-view, I watched it live, it was fantastic. I believe it's going to be on Fox Sports 1 for all of us to watch. UFC Fight Night 38, Shogun versus Henderson. They put on a fucking war for us the first time. And you know what? I think they're going to do it again. I think we're going to see another damn brawl. These are two legends going all the way back to Japanese MMA. Both of them fucking fantastic fighters, and I can't wait for it. Shogun versus Henderson. We have actually 4 cards this month. It started off last week with UFC Fight Night 36, Ultimate Fighter China finale. This next weekend we got Gustafsson Manuwa. The following weekend we got 171 in Dallas. The following weekend in Brazil, Shogun Henderson 2. It's going to be a great month for MMA fans. And let us move on. We only actually have a couple more topics to go before we shut it down for the night. I thought it was going to be a quick podcast, but it went a little bit longer than I thought it would. We've been talking about a lot of welterweight fights, and the welterweight division is in flux, obviously, with George St. Pierre leaving. We have a new welterweight champion to be crowned this month between Hendricks and Lawler. A lot of sorting out to be done. Rory recently getting the win over Damian Maia. Woodley and Condit going to be fighting soon. Kelvin Gastelum. And Eric Silva, who recently won over in Brazil. It was announced that he's going to be taking on Matt Brown at UFC Cincinnati. Brown originally slated to fight Condit, but had to back out due to a back injury. What do you think happens in this fight? Personally, just to put it quickly and easily, I think Matt Brown wipes the floor with him. Brown just such a great wrestler. I don't know if Eric Silva can keep up with a wrestler who has the sort of skill set of a Brown. Davey, what do you think about E. Silva taking on the immortal Matt Brown?
Man, Eric Silva against Matt Brown. You know what? Matt Brown's crafty. He's very crafty. He did something when he fought Mike Swick. Like, I was rooting for Mike Swick on this one, man, but he knocked Mike Swick out. Then he fought Mike Pyle, knocked Mike Pyle out. So, like, I'm shocked. I was shocked, to see how Matt Brown came from the Ultimate Fighter up until now. And, like, he did a complete jump, in his performance and stuff. Him going against Eric Silva, whoo, that's gonna be dynamite too. But I would have to root for Matt Brown on this one.
Ramsey, Silva, Brown, who you got?
Yeah, even though Sato was robbed, if Sato can't beat Eric Silva, nobody can. Matt Brown's gonna have a bad day at the office. He's probably something's gonna happen. And something doesn't smell right about this fight. Haven't been able to quite place it yet. Something ain't right here. I'm going with Eric Silva. they're building this kid up. I think Matt Brown is just going to be another stepping stone for this kid. Honestly, it's going to be a surprising fight, good one, but odd, very odd.
Ninja.
I like Matt Brown going into this. He's shown that he's a beast. He's shown he's got the hands. He's got the knockout power. He's on a big roll. Nothing against E Silva, but I don't think Matt Brown can be stopped right now.
All right, only a little bit more news to go before we get to tonight's fight tip brought to you by the Word on the Street and a quick breakdown of UFC London, and we shut the damn thing down. Another fight announcement, Junior Dos Santos to take on Stipe Miocic, a heavyweight clash. Obviously, the winner of that would only be a fight or two away from a title shot. Junior's reeling from the trilogy fight against Kane. He lost that. Stipe, he's on a different trajectory on the way up. Ramses, does Stipe have any chance against Junior?
No, man. Dos Santos, he's angry, having the way he was embarrassed by Cain Velasquez. Of course, I believe that he did what he had to do for the paycheck. Let himself get torn up to shreds. Dos Santos needs his confidence back. He knows how to get it back. We're gonna see him totally destroy this old man. This isn't even fair. Poor Miocic here. He's gonna look. He's gonna look like a punching bag in this fight. I'm telling you right now. Dos Santos is coming back with a vengeance.
That's gonna be the co-main event of UFC 173 in Las Vegas. Ninja, your thoughts on the heavyweight bout?
I'm a big fan of Stipe Miocic. I love what he does. I love watching him fight. But I said it a long time ago. JDS versus Cain Velasquez, we're going to see that fight like 150,000 times before it's done. Nobody can compare. Nobody can come close. Those are the top two guys. I don't think anybody can beat Cain, and I think Cain's the only person that can beat JDS.
Word. I'm not sure. Davey, are you still with us? Our boy Davey had to step out. We appreciate him coming on the show. You can follow him on Twitter at DAVEI_BOI. Davey boy, a new addition to the MMA Podcast fan, but we appreciate the shit out of him. I guess all we have left, I think I covered just about all the news in mixed martial arts, the Twitter war with John Jones, the deal with testosterone, UFC 173, women's MMA. And now I guess we got to bring you the most popular segment this show has ever had. It's our boy Ramses bringing you fight tips, whether he's telling you how to fight off the homeless, kick a little kid's ass, it doesn't matter. He's teaching you, he's bringing you into the dojo. Ramses, it's all you, cocksucker.
What's up, people? This is me, the Word on the Street, coming at you with another fight tip of the week here on the MMA Podcast. This one, definitely a Ray Longo technique. It's basically, I'm going to tell you how to punch a hole in someone's fucking chest. How to really do it for real. Sometimes on the streets, you got to break the rules. In a street fight, you have to accept the fact. I'll get right into it and I'll keep it quick, people. This fight tip here. In a street fight, you have to accept the fact that, most of the time, you're going to break your hands, all right? Sometimes it happens, man. It happens a lot. Nobody's wearing gloves. Nobody's wearing wraps. You're going to damage your hands. You got to understand that going into it. It's like when you get into a knife fight. You have to understand that disarming your opponent means you're going to have to take a cut somewhere. Probably, hopefully on your arm, you know what I'm saying? But that's a different fight tip. This one's how to punch a hole through someone's fucking chest. If you don't have a knife, they don't have a knife. What you got to do, people, you got to aim right for the place, you ever perform CPR and save a life? Well, that's that same spot, except we're going to be doing the opposite. We're going to be taking a life. That's the soft spot right there, right under the sternum, right under the solar plexus, but a little bit above the gut. That's your sweet spot. That's your best chance of actually penetrating through the skin and the rib cage and any vital organs that are in the way. You just want to make a dent in somebody's damn solar plexus, basically. You gotta edge it just right. Your hand's gonna break, like I said. You gotta be willing to pay that price. And here's the secret to the technique. I'm telling you, don't aim for the front of the chest. You have to aim as if you're going to punch through it. You have to aim for the back of his spine. You have to punch through that. You have to crackle through that damn spine. That's how hard of a punch you're going to throw. All right? It's going to be like in that first Indiana Jones movie in the Temple of Doom. Except, you don't have to rip the heart out of the chest cavity. I mean, we're not animals here. But you do have to punch a hole through someone's fucking chest, and that's how you do it, people. Break your own hand, you got to sacrifice something, but it'll pay off in dividends. You'll be shocked once you actually take your first life. That's all I'd say about that. Again, this is only in life-threatening situations and street fighting techniques. I wouldn't recommend you do this without at least a couple witnesses. You'll be talked about for years. You'll be the hero on your street, people. Until next time, see you at the dojo.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest.
Hell yeah, that's the word on the street. Ramses and Ray Longo want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest, cocksuckers.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest.
That's right. We got just I guess this weekend's card to break down. UFC Fight Night Gustafsson versus Manawa taking place at the O2 Arena. Gonna take place early afternoon for us in the US. I believe I actually don't have the start times in front of me, but I believe it's around noon Eastern. About between Alexander Gustafsson and Jimmy Manawa will be headlining the event. It's all going to be on UFC Fight Pass. To watch it, you got to go to UFC.tv, subscribe to the Fight Pass. If it's not worth it for this, it'll be worth it for Tough Brazil 3, trust me. Before we get to the main event, Gustafsson Manawa, I do want to talk about that fight specifically. But do any other fights on the card stand out? The prelim card, we got 6 fights. A flyweight fight, Harris versus Gaudineau stands out. Davey Grant coming from that Rousey Tate tough season, taking on Roland Delorme. You got Luke Barnett, Team Darkside taking on Matt Nilsson. Cyril Diabate taking on Ilir Latifi. We also have on the main card, we got 4 fights. Gunnar Nelson taking on Amari Akhmedov, who will be a huge favorite to Gunnar Nelson. Brad Pickett also going to be a huge favorite taking on Neil Seery. Michael Johnson and Melvin Gillard, which will be a pretty close fight. Any of those stand out to you, Ramses?
I gotta say, man, I'm gonna watch it, but nothing on this card really appeals to me that much, except buddy Luke Barnett. It's gonna be hilarious seeing Queen Latifah fight again. There's a dude with green hair, Gunnar Nelson. Let's see if he's coming back. He was trying to strike in his last fight, if I remember correctly. It was a war. It was a good fight. Other than that, I'm not really too excited about Gustafsson and Manawa. But they've both done some time.
We aren't talking about that fight yet, damn it. I said we're not talking about that fight yet, cocksucker.
I thought the question was who I'm looking forward to. Well, whatever.
Other than Manawa Gustafsson, do any fights stand out to you?
That was it. Melvin Gillard, I'm done with him.
You son of a bitch. Ninja, other than Manawa Gustafsson, do any of these fights stand out to you?
Well, first of all, Manawa Gustafsson. No, I'm just kidding. I probably won't get up at 9 o'clock to pay $10 for a card that's not really that great anyway. I probably won't watch it. The only thing, including the fight we're not supposed to talk about yet, the only thing that would get me out of bed to watch this would be my buddy, my mate, my English brother, Luke Barnett. We had him on the word on the street. I absolutely love that guy. He's a great man. We talk back and forth time to time. He is ready. One of the coolest English gentleman nerd fighters that you'll ever meet. Big things happening for that kid. I'm a little disappointed that fight's not on the main card. I think it should have been, but again, I might be a little biased. Melvin Gillard versus blah, 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 blah. I think that'll be a good fight, even though I can't even remember the other guy's name, Johnson or
Michael Johnson.
Michael Johnson. Yeah, Melvin Gillespie about Michael Johnson, even though obviously I couldn't remember his name. But yeah, I agree that's going to be close, but I just really don't care.
And I got the start times in front of me now. The prelims will start at 12:30 Eastern. That's 9:30 in the morning, Saturday morning if you're over on the West Coast. Two Saturday morning cards back to back. A little strange. We won't be seeing three in a row as UFC 170 will obviously be Saturday night. Ramses, I guess we'll shift gears unless you get to the fight you were itching to talk about. Jimmy Manuwa taking on Alex Gustafsson. If Gustafsson wins, it probably earns him a title shot. If Manuwa wins, probably not. A couple Europeans, the Englishman and Manuwa taking on the Swede and Alex Gustafsson. Gustafsson, coming off that fight where he gave John Jones the toughest test of his career. Manuwa has been on the upswing since he joined the UFC, just killing everyone. What do you see going down in this fight? Does Gustafsson win that rematch against John Jones on Saturday?
I actually like this fight now that it's got a little backstory. Both guys are ex-cons. That's fun. That's
Yeah,
fun
it
for
might
me.
be the first UFC main event where it's two ex-convicts going up against each other.
Hell yeah. So what I'm hoping for is
And it's funny because both of them are such gentlemen.
I don't know, man. I've never met them. But if you say so, I believe you, man. But hopefully they'll turn back into animals once they both climb into the octagon and they lock that cage. I hope they both start having flashbacks and it turns into a real prison fight right in front of our very eyes. No holds barred. Like Rampage was saying, winner take all. Winner take all. I got Gustafsson though.
Gustafsson is the heavy favorite going into it. Ninja, Manuwa Gustafsson, what are your thoughts?
Kind of like Ramses said, I sincerely hope somebody shanks somebody in this fight. I think that'd be just cool as hell. No, I don't want to see anybody get shanked. Don't worry, guys. Gustafsson, I like the kid. I'm going for him. I thought he did really good against John Jones. Again, not I might have been a little biased, but I thought that he did a lot better against John Jones than than the judges said. He wasn't as close to beating. It wasn't a big, giant, appalling mistake by the judges as GSP and Hendricks was, but I kind of had Gustafsson a little bit ahead. And again, I'm probably biased as hell. I really hope Gustafsson takes this fight. I really think he will, and I hope he goes on and fights John Jones again because I think he'll beat him.
This is a win-win for me personally. I do really want to see John Jones take on Alexander Gustafsson. But, Gustafsson is the second biggest favorite on the entire card, second to Brad Pickett, who originally was supposed to fight Ian McCall. So Gustafsson would have been the biggest favorite if not for McCall's injury and the need to book Pickett versus Siri. Look, Gustafsson is amazing. I think he's without a doubt one of the top 3 or 4 light heavyweights in the world. His range is awesome. We saw against John Jones. He's an amazing fighter. Do I think Gustafsson had an amazing fight? Yes. Do I think Jones? I think he was a little off. Not to the point where I think it was a fluke performance at all. That's not what I'm trying to say about Gustafsson Jones. I have all the praise in the world for Alex Gustafsson, but I think Jimmy Manuwa is going to step in there. Look, people say he's going to be totally outmatched, but look at every fight Jimmy Manuwa has had. He has destroyed everybody. Literally, his entire record. He's 14-0. Every single fight has been stopped in the first or second round. This dude is a beast. He's 3-0 in the UFC. His last 4 wins, obviously, have been by TKO because he stops every fight. And he didn't even stop every fight with strikes. His last non-UFC fight, the guy gave up after the first round. The fight against Kyle Kingsbury, the doctor stopped. His last 2 wins against Cyril Diabate and Ryan Jimmo got stopped because of an injury. Jimmy Manuwa doesn't just finish you to where your lights are out. He makes the doctor step in and say, no, he's fucking way too screwed up. Jimmy Manuwa, look, most likely, yes, Vegas is right. Chances are, more likely than not, Gustafsson is going to beat Jimmy Manuwa, but I'm making the upset special prediction right now, just like I said Renan Barão was top 10 pound for pound before he had a fight with Zuffa, just like I said Kelvin Gastelum was going to beat Uriah Hall. Jimmy Manuwa is going to step in there, he's going to knock out Alexander Gustafsson, and he's going to blow the top off of the O2 Arena March 8th, London, England, Saturday night, only available on UFC Fight Pass, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. in the West, if you want to catch it live. And I guess we'll end it with that. Thank you so much for listening to the MMA Podcast. As always, we appreciate the shit out of your support. Ninja, where can we find you on the Twitters? You got any shout-outs for us, cocksucker?
First, I'd like to shout out to my good friend, Master Renzo Gracie. The guy is awesome. The guy has done so much for me. Please give all your respect and praise to that guy. I love him so much. You can follow me at the Ninja Larson, the one and only. If you can't spell it, you shouldn't follow me anyway. Big shout out to you guys.
Larson spelled
Larsen.
Larsen, the Ninja Larson, cocksuckers.
Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah, give him a follow. And as always, Ramses, what's the word?
If you want to do the opposite of joining the John Jones fan club, the opposite of that is to follow me on Twitter, the Ant Jimmy Show. I do have the word on the street. I am going to be exposing this man until he's run out of the business and he's fighting fucking Rampage Jackson, all right? I want to see the fans turn on John Jones, and the first step is to follow me, guys. And thanks for having me on the MMA Podcast. Word on the street.
Thank you for coming on. Of course, shout out to all of our buddies, Yao_the Truth, Westland Eagle AH, Ross Finkelstein, E before the L, our friends Elena, Danielle, Lexi, Natalia, although don't mention them in the same tweet or else they might start going after each other. We're not even going to start talking about that. Our girl Jen Adams, our boy Davey Boy, DAVEI_BOI. We got so many people. I literally could stay on here for 10 minutes just talking about all the people I love. If I tweet at you, I love you. Mad Samurai, the MMA enthusiast, everybody.
Shout out to Chris Lowenstein.
Chris Lowenstein. It has been an amazing ride. We are almost at 2 years now. It's March 6, 2014. We started this June 6, 2012. We're 3 months away from our 2-year anniversary. And it's been an awesome ride. I've enjoyed the shit out of it. We'll see you next week, MMA fans. We gone!
With Irish science, silencing all these idiots caught up in all their ignorance. 2 clans fighting under the same banner. We all got love for this ground game, and that's all that matters. In the balance, with the teachings of the Grandmaster. I'm trying to master the system, that's what I'm after. And stay true to the craft, spark trees to relax. Old school miracle, lyrical, lace in the track. And I'm working the angles.